Hello and welcome to another video. So we're going to be doing part 3 of the card reveals so far. We have plenty to go over and some cards that haven't been, let's say, officially revealed, but have been revealed in magazines that have been translated. So the translations may be a bit rough, but we'll leave those to the end. So the first card we're going to look at is the Bloodcraft Gold, 7 cost 4/5 Demonic Officer. So we've got Fanfare, destroy an enemy follower or amulet, gain storm if vengeance is active for you. So the Fanfare is good. I do like the Fanfare. I don't know whether this is going to outdo the other 7-drop gold, which is what, 4/6? I'm really bad at remembering names, but that has storm straight off the bat and gains damage value for each follower you have destroyed. So I don't know if this is going to compete with that slot for a storm kind of deck. This can work really well because it is removal, so kill a ward and then ram face if vengeance, obviously. You got to have that vengeance. So I don't know about this card entirely. I don't know whether it will replace it or won't replace it, but it's going to be a really tight spot for the same thing pretty much. Then we have Snatch. So it looks like a fucking dragon. Jeez. It's a 5-drop 4/5 silver Bloodcraft card this time. We've got Rush. All cards with Rush are normally not too bad. Enhance 7, gain last word at the start of your turn. Put a follower that costs at least 6 play points from your deck into play. Okay, so a 7 cost enhance to gain the last word. That's reasonable. It's only a couple more costs than the actual card. Start of your turn, put a follower that costs at least 6 into play from your deck. So if you set this up, you can pull... What can you pull? You can pull the Storm for... What is it? Demonic Lancer or something? I'm really bad at remembering names right now. So you can pull Storm for 3 damage with it. That's not too bad, I guess. It's got Rush, so it does clear out a ward in front of you. It's just another one of those kind of kill cards, and it is fighting for that 7 spot again, similar to the gold if you're running it for the enhance, but because it's more versatile it might end up being better overall. Other than that, it's not too bad. I actually think getting the kill and then evolving the thing for 5 damage may be a little bit better. Don't know, it's not a bad silver, and it could definitely slot into some budgety style decks, maybe even into some better decks. We'll just have to wait and see. So the next card is Dragoncraft. We have Hippogriff Rider. So Hippogriff Rider is a 5 cost 2/4. It's a storm. Whenever another allied follower attacks, gain +1/+0. So you throw this onto a board with a couple other followers on board, attack with the other followers, boost this thing to say 4 or 5. So maximum, I think, what have we got? Maximum of 6, minimum of, I would say you want 4. So you can basically do a 5 cost 4/4. Yeah, it's not great. With the evolve it does become a 6 though, so that's not too bad. It might not be that bad overall. We'll just have to wait and see. Next we've got Kindly Treant. Love the artwork, you know, just that spot right in the middle there is great. You've got 3 cost 2/3 forest card bronze. So Fanfare, gain +1/+1 and ward if there are at least 3 other neutral cards in your hand. So they're really pushing this hand neutral card thing, which I think is okay. It'd hopefully open up another archetype for forest, something a little more versatile, I think. Something that is just different, which I don't mind seeing for forest. I'm not a big forest player, but from what I have played, it's really not that hard to play if you just do the math right and you manage to actually pull the cards you want. Other than that, it'd be nice to see a more interactive one where each draw can be important and you're not just relying on a single draw, but every card in your deck serves a decent purpose. I don't know, I think that's what Forest needs, some more of these sort of cards that keep things interesting. Then we've also got the gold, a fairy driver. He's got a very nice 6-pack on him by the looks of that. Jeez, 4-drop 3/3. So value-wise, not that great. But let's see what its effect is. Whenever an allied fairy comes into play, give it a +1 and storm until the end of turn. Wow, okay. So you throw this with a few fairies, ram all the fairies however you want, and you're pretty much set, especially with the 0-cost fairies. You're basically getting a free 2 damage follower. Not too bad at all. Next we have Hayet, which is a 6-drop 3/7 silver Havencraft card. Fanfare, gain Rush and Bane if an evolved follower is in play. So its stats are really high. For a 6-drop, I suppose that's pretty average. The Russian Bane on Fanfare, if it involves enemy followers in play, isn't too bad. It means you can pretty much guarantee the clear on the enemy follower. 6 cost, I just doesn't feel good. I'd rather this was probably a 5 cost 2/5 or something in that regard, instead of being in this range, although 5 cost is normally taken up by Lion, so I just don't know about this card. Maybe if we see a different variation of Haven come out, then this card could work, especially maybe even in a neutral Haven, depending on the cards. Anyway, not too bad. And so, if you didn't guess, the next card is Explosion, with a 7 cost bronze neutral. We've got 3 damage to all followers. You know, basically it's your Humpty Dumpty explosion card. Except he costs 7 instead of 4 and doesn't use an evolve. Nothing much to say. Maybe this could work in a sword deck where they're looking for more board clears, but nearly every other class has better board clears than Explosion, so I'm not sure. Plus, hitting all followers kind of feels bad. If it was one-sided, I think Explosion may be justified, but I just don't feel it's that great here, unfortunately, no matter how good Megaman might be. So, the next card here that we've got is Queen of the Dread Sea. So we've got the legendary neutral, 10 cost, 7/7. Fanfare changed the cost of a neutral card, excluding Queen of the Dread Sea, and non-neutral card in your hand to 0. Then discard all the cards in your hand. So the first thing that comes to mind is throw this in Dragon, and you've got your Zeal Bahaha combos, or you've got your crazy 0-drop bloody neutrals with crazy 0-drop non-neutrals, such as just dropping, we'll say Baha or Suckfill again, and we'll drop in Oro or Dragoon Forte or something. This will create some absolutely crazy board clear plays and probably push Dragon pretty far. I feel like being such a strong body for a 10/10 as well is going to make sure this has to be removed, and then anything that can come off this has to be removed. So I feel like Dragon will take huge advantage of this. You will probably see other classes take huge advantage of this as well. I can see things like Haven probably using this to combo nicely with Aegis, or maybe even other cards. You know, you draw out the game until turn 10, and then you drop Aegis a little later in the game, maybe, if you can tech a deck around it. I don't know. Just ideas, you know, throwing them out there. There's different things you could do with this card, but I feel like Dragon's going to utilize this the most, personally. On to the next card, we have Rapunzel. So, Rapunzel was another card that was announced by 4Gamers, so the translation's a little rough, and the next few things will be a little rough, but basically it's a 3-drop 2/5 neutral card. Whenever this follower enters play, or at the start of your turn, it gains can't attack. Whenever an allied follower attacks, remove the cannot attack restriction on this follower. So basically you need to attack with something before you can attack with this. That's the basis of the card, which it works out for its stats, being a 2/5/4/7, plus hopefully it will be less likely to be targeted by removal. So throwing this in something like Storm, so any kind of Storm deck could take advantage of this card really well, because you're going to be throwing down a follower, attacking, and then having this to attack straight after. And this will most likely be ignored turn 3 especially, so I can see this playing really well in the early game and having a good body to trade. So definitely an interesting card, and I don't mind it too much. The next card is Gingerbread House. So we've got a 3-cost Gingerbread House. Not bad. I don't mind the art style in this card, actually. I really like the whole Gingerbread House design. So it's a Earth Sigil rune card. Fanfare, deal 2 damage to an enemy follower. Restore 2 defense to your leader. So not a bad card. I don't feel like the Earth Sigils and Earthright decks are really going to get as much support this expansion, so I don't feel like this is going to take off hugely, but it's definitely not too bad. Then we have Rune's Legendary, Abomination Awakened. So the card art is awesome. I really enjoy that kind of style. It's also a 3-cost 6/6, so its stat line is fucking huge. But we've also got Can't Attack, which is the big one for this card. This card can't attack, which sucks, unless you evolve it. if the number of cards in your hand increases to 9 during your turn, evolve the follower and deal 3 damage to all enemy followers. So it also has a built-in board clear. It has a built-in evolve, so you're not spending your evolve point, which is nice if you're playing this a little later in the game. If you are dropping this on 3 and it gets ignored, then the likelihood of a rune class, especially strong draw ones like D-Shift for example, where you can draw straight up to 9 pretty quickly, because if you play this in a hand of 9, you're going to drop to 8, so any card you play after that will automatically increase to 9 and boost you straight up. So the best case scenario I can think of is early draw pressure, hold off playing anything major, have this in your hand super early, play this on 3, then play, what is it, the draw 2 card with hopefully a 0-drop spell boost, so that you can just play it along with it. Worst case, you're playing turn 4 and you're going for draws for 9, or you're using this as a late game beat stick to go along with D-Shift itself. But by D-Shift, normally you're running low on cards when you're playing D-Shift super late. So I don't know how this will go overall, but it's definitely an interesting card. We have Apprentice Sword Mage, a 4-drop 3/4 rune card as well. So we've got Fanfare gain +1/+1 if the number of neutral cards in your hand equals or exceeds the number of rune cards in your hand. So another neutral support, which goes with all the other decent rune cards that have come out this expansion so far. I'm really looking forward to testing out a few different neutral style decks that Runecraft can run, especially things that function well with Ginger and other sort of decks, so I can't wait to test things like this out. It's got an alright stat line, so I'm quite happy with that. The next one after that is Kiss of the Princess, a 3-drop spell, Shadowcraft spell, Swordcraft, my mistake, sometimes I misread them. Give a neutral follower +2/+4, then change that follower into a Swordcraft commander. So this is a really interesting card. For starters, it's stat gain for 3. I think that's pretty straightforward. It only works on neutral, which, yeah, they'll probably see neutral swords, so that's not too bad. But changing it into a Swordcraft commander, that's what really interests me. I'm interested in what kind of combos we can use to turn things into commanders and take advantage of them. I'm thinking Luminous Mage may work really well. Have a neutral on board, play Luminous, play this, you've got an instant evolve. How great is that? So next is another Game of 4 card. There's only a couple of these 4 gamers cards, sorry. It's White Rabbit. It's a 3-cost 2/3 sword officer. Fanfare, draw cards equal to the number of allied neutral followers in your area. So basically it's just draw, which isn't too bad. I guess sword kind of needed that, and a 2/3 is a really good competition for things like Grimnir. So it'll be interesting to see whether this is run in control sort of decks instead of Grimnir, or whether this is just run in more of a neutral early game deck. But if you're running a neutral deck, there's no reason not to run Grimnir, so it's kind of a hard toss-up for this card, I think. But definitely an okay card, and I could see it working if you want more draw for your sword decks. So next we have Corpse Lord of Woe, probably the worst legendary for this expansion, or very close to it. 4-cost 4/4. The art's pretty nice, honestly. I do enjoy the art, but it can't attack, which seems to be a trend for some of these legendaries and stuff, the can't attack mechanic. At the start of your turn, use Necromancy 6, evolve this follower. So if this was straight out Necromancy 6, evolve this follower, I reckon this would be not too bad. Especially with Last Word, summon a Corpse Lord of Woe. But because it's at the start of your turn, it makes this card feel bad. Even if this was at the end of the turn, this would probably be better. It'd probably actually be too strong, and that's why I reckon they went with the start of the turn. But I just feel like making it start of the turn, it's going to be another Ilion of Madness, which is Haven's Amulet's popping card. Just not good enough. It's just be cleared too easy. It won't stick, you know, that sort of thing. Maybe if we get lucky it could work, but I don't think it will. So the next card for Shadowcraft is Nightmare Executioner. So it's a 4-cost 0/3 Bane, Clash, draw a card, and that carries over for the evolve. So the Bane is nice, the stat line is nice, Clash is awesome because then anything that you kind of hit with it automatically gets destroyed and you draw a card. So good early game maybe, but being turn 4, I don't know. I just think maybe we could have better options for turn 4. I just don't know how we're going to implement this completely, but it's not a bad card. It's just kind of a meh, don't know how it's going to go card. And one of the last cards on this list before we go into the just text card reveals, where I don't have actual images to go with most of them, we have Dead Mora, or Morza, I think that's how we pronounce that. So it's a 5-cost 5/7 Shadowcraft card. Fanfare. Destroy all allied Shadowcraft followers. Restore X defense to your leader. X equals the number of followers destroyed by this effect. So at maximum, you're getting 4 health. At minimum, I'd say you're getting 2 health if you wanted to play this in the right kind of fashion. So other than the healing Fanfare, its stats are just crazy. A 5 cost 5/7 with a 7/9 evolve is just insane amount of value. I don't know whether this will be played over other things, because Shadowverse tends to be a game where stats aren't everything in the way of big cards. Sometimes effects are just better, and this has an okay effect, not great. You can combo it with things like Attendant of the Night, Lurching Corpse, and get some good value out of them, but you pretty much have to build a deck around that, and I think the 5-drop range is probably better options. And if you are running Ledger decks, for example, you probably don't want to be running this card anyway. So maybe a straight Nep deck could use it. Maybe we'll see something new come out of it. I'm just not sure at this point. Otherwise, it's definitely not bad, but definitely not good either. So now we're on to the text cards, and I'd like to thank Gadgetron from Reddit for translating all of these. The translations may not be perfect, but they seem pretty spot on to me after checking them over, so looks pretty good. So we have a few cards here that were revealed. We don't have images at this stage for most of them, but there's a few. So we have Goblin Leader, so we're expanding on the Goblin archetype. I really enjoy that. It's a 3 PP, a 3 cost, 1/2 neutral bronze card. At the end of your turn, summon a goblin. So pretty straightforward. It summons an extra goblin for 3 costs, so you get, what, 2/4 of stats for 3 cost in 2 bodies for a bronze, and it's neutral. So it's really not that bad at all. It actually could work quite well. Maybe as a swarm card, it's like a smaller goblin princess, pretty much. You're getting basically similar, well, not similar, but pretty good value for 3, I think. If you put it in something like Shadow, it works pretty well with something like Catacomb. So I could definitely see this maybe contesting the board spot for Bone Chimera, where Bone Chimera has a little bit of an advantage, being 1 extra in attack stat. This thing gets the kind of stickiness that you need more, so I don't know. The next card is Secret Swordsman of the Silver Ring. So we have a 5 PP, 3/4 gold sword follower. Trait is apparently unknown, so we don't know whether it's a commander or officer. It's a Bane and Ward, and its evolve ability is when this follower attacks, destroy the enemy follower without applying damage. 4/5 when evolve. Yeah, so it's a 1 gain stat in evolve, so it only becomes a 4/5 in evolve, but it basically gains Medusa as a sword card. That's practically what this is doing, destroying the enemy follower without applying damage. So you get to kill something without taking any damage to your own follower, which is quite nice. It's not a clash, so it only works when you attack, but it isn't bad at all. Then we have a Illusionist, a 5 PP 4/4 rune silver card. Fanfare, summon one of your highest cost followers that has died this game, give it a rush, and banish it at the end of your turn. Wow, that's a mouthful of an effect, honestly. So for 5 PP and a 4/4, that's okay, I guess. For a rune card, I'm not 100%. Like, summon your highest cost follower that has died this game. You want to be playing it in the later game then, and give it rush. I just don't know. You know, the rush is good and all, but what difference does that really make with your summon? And banish at the end of your turn anyway. You're basically just going to be summoning something to kill something. So this will work in neutral rune, I feel, and that's about it. I don't see you playing this in D-Shift. I don't see it being played in anything like that. So it's definitely going to be played in neutral rune. Maybe Earthright if you're lucky, but I doubt it. Other than that, we've gone on to the next card. Fortress Cancer. That says Cancer, okay. I don't know whether that's a mistranslation or is it just me. But it's a 9 PP 6/8 Dragon Silver. It's all got Ward, which is nice, and its evolve effect gives it last word, put a Fortress Cancer in your hand. Okay, not bad. And it's a 6/8 when evolved, so its stats don't change on evolve, it just gains basically the recycle ability similar to Oro, but it's a 9 cost, so I don't know. It's Ward though, so that is nice, so it does mean it has to be cleared. I don't know whether you want to save the 9 PP for the end of the game though, like that. It's not a bad card. I think Dragon might head in a different direction with cards like this. It'll be interesting to see. So we got Disguised Fangs, a 1 PP blood silver spell. Give an allied neutral follower the same ability as Medusa until the end of turn. So this is another one of the Medusa kind of cards, basically. I read the actual text for this card. It doesn't specify Medusa, but the effect is basically Medusa. It is identical in every way I could possibly imagine. So basically it's just a cheap way to give a follower Medusa effect. Well, a neutral follower. It can't be blood, obviously, but give an allied neutral follower the same ability as Medusa. So it's better than basically the Medusa spell, but it's practically the same thing by the looks of it. Unless there is a change in the text later on when it's officially revealed, that's how it will probably be. So the next card is Madhatter, 7PP, 4/5, Shadow Bronze. So we expected this kind of card to come out, Madhatter, just because of the Alice in Wonderland sort of theme they've got going on. But anyway, it's a fanfare, destroy another allied follower, and if you do, summon a tin plate trooper, which currently we don't have any info on the tin plate troopers, so I can't fully assess whether this is a good value or not. Stats wise, it's good to mediocre, I guess. Destroy an allied follower is a big cost for the if you do tin plate trooper, so the tin plate trooper has to be worth it, or you have to be getting rid of something really small. Otherwise, it's an interesting card, and I can't wait to see what the art looks like for that sort of card. And the last one of these text-based cards here, other than the final card we're going to look at, is Paladin of the Red Club's Norrish. Norrish? I don't know. 2PP, 2/2, Haven Gold. So, fanfare, until the start of your turn, your leader cannot take more than 3 damage at a time. So, until the start of your turn, your leader cannot take... Till the start of your turn. Yeah, so it's basically like a single effect, similar to Swords block all damage and turn it to 4, which is the legendary incorruptible sword or whatever it is. So basically a similar effect to that, but it's only temporary by the looks of it, and it's a 2-cost 2/2, so it's not too bad at all. I would have liked to have seen it on maybe a 3-cost 1/4 for Haven. That way it couldn't be destroyed in the next turn, guaranteed by the 3 damage at a time thing, unless they play something else maybe, I don't know, but it's always an option. Definitely not a bad card. It's going to be interesting to see if you can build a deck around that. And the final card we have here is, I can't remember the name of it, Beauty and the Beast, I believe? Yeah, Beauty and the Beast. I forgot to put the name on the text. Its fanfare is, if you have 5 or more cards in your hand, gain +2/+2. If you have 3 or more neutral cards in your hand, then this card gains can't be damaged by follower / spell / amulet effects and can't be destroyed by effects. So there's a couple things when reading this card text that you've got to be aware of. Firstly, it can't be damaged by follower spells or amulet effects. Effects is crucial in that sentence, so it can still be damaged by followers. It can still be killed by followers, so if you ram a bloody Bahamut into the face of that thing, it's going to die. And the last part of the effect being, and can't be destroyed by effects. So it can't be destroyed by Bahamut, it can't be destroyed by other card effects, but destroyed isn't banished. So this card can still be banished if the wording stays this way. Unless the text is changed, that is how I would interpret this card currently. So this card is banishable, and this card is destroyable through battle damage. And I could see banishment being a real pain for it, unfortunately. So it's not quite indestructible. But it's definitely a sticky board for a 6-drop, and will definitely help expand Forest, I believe it's going in. I believe it's Forest. Yeah, Forest. Pretty sure. Yep, okay, that's right. Yep, it's Forest. Cool. So this is definitely going in Forest. As a 6-drop, it'll probably go into a more control-y variant, maybe a tempo variant, maybe something like that. Definitely into a neutral build if you're going for that final effect. But it's definitely not a bad card. I just want to see how people go with it and go building with it. So hopefully it does quite well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to smack that like button and subscribe for more content. Check out my Twitter and other links in the description below. I'll